Hello and welcome to the Skip Ace Fantasy Disc Golf Podcast. That was the band Arc Welder from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I had a lot of options for Minneapolis, honestly, and maybe you thought I would be really hipster and go with Husker Du, or a little bit more 90s and go Semisonic, but nope. I picked the 1993 album Pull from Arc Welder, one of my personal favorites. The DGPT Tour is moving over to the Twin Cities and attending the highly beloved Preserve. It's a birdie or die course that is absolutely adored by the touring players. It's partially loved for the course, but a lot of the after-course activities and camping is why everyone seems to love to come to Minnesota. Who here thinks we're going to keep up with the home state champion trend? Gannon Buhr in Iowa, Cat Murch in Arkansas, Isaac Robinson in Georgia. Can Cale pull off a championship on his home course? Maybe we get an underdog like Alex Geisinger. Or maybe we move back over to FPO and Katrina Allen gets the victory, who claims Minnesota as her home state. This is the fourth year at the Preserve, so we've got a really good data set to work with. Last year, Bradley Williams won this, but he's already traveled over to the EU and really can't defend his title from there. And Paige Pierce, will she be able to repeat and hold off to Tar, who didn't play here last year, but won the year previous? I'm going to lean more towards Tatar the way the battle has been going lately. Some of the big hitters that are playing this event include Ricky Wysocki, Gannon Buhr, Matty O, and possibly Eagle? All of these players have averaged fifth or better here over the past few years. But as we know, they're high-priced picks, so you better pick the right one. And honestly, Eagle comes with his own health concerns right now. Another crush boy who's going to be in attendance is Simon Lizotte, but he's had his ups and downs on this course. 2 top 5s and a 31st. And this is really the kind of course that it happens at. If you don't get on a roll, you're going to get left behind. This is a birdie or die course. A few of the big names that are coming that really have never played at the Preserve before are Chris Dickerson, Cole Redalen, Silas Schultz, Robert Burridge. They have no history here. But the way this course lays out, if you're going to go with one of those players, Dickerson is probably the most obvious choice. Being a course where it's birdie or die, this doesn't seem to really lend itself to many sleepers. I looked, and honestly, there isn't a good history here. Now, the best players thrive here, but if I'm going to go with one deep sleeper pick, it's going to be Noah Five Ash. Not to be confused with Noah Meinsma, who's a local. Noah Five Ash. Noah's actually even rated under 1,000 points, but he averaged 14th here over the past 2 years. Do it once and it's luck. Twice and you've proven something. Let's go over to FPO. And just like MPO, I think I'm going to stick with the bigger names here, Tatar and Pierce. Now, this is a really good course for Missy Gannon, if you want to save yourself a few ratings points over Tatar, but you're really not saving much over Pierce. And maybe a longer shot here over on the FPO side. Maybe not. Maria Oliva. She's rated only 947. She's averaged 8th here, but lately talked on social media about some personal issues she's dealing with. So buyer beware here, even though she is coming off of a 6th place last week at the GMC. Another name to look at on the FPO would maybe be Juliana Korver, who is averaged 10th here and is really only rated 946. And if you want a super, super deep sleeper, this is a tough one, but I'm going to throw it out there for you. Lydia Cochran, she's rated 912. But here she's really punching above her weight class and has averaged 14th here over 2 of the last 3 years. Once again, once it's luck, twice maybe you're proving something. And on the FPO side, the only real notable players who don't have a history at the Preserve are Paige Shue, Candice Burge and Caroline Henderson, but really none of those names really strike me as players that you're going to be looking to have on your team confidently this week. Let's talk about some players to avoid in both divisions. On MPO, I know this is going to sound insane. And there's a 90 or maybe 95% chance I'm going to look back in just a week and kick myself. But I think avoiding Calvin this week might be better for you. Vinny took second here 3 years ago, but really hasn't been able to break the top 10 the last 2 years. And in general, for all the ratings points he uses, that to me feels slightly sticky. The other big name over on MPO would be Corey Ellis. He only played here last year, but he finished 35th. To me, that's a wait and see. Playing here one time, not knowing the course and taking 35th is one thing, so I would probably not put him on my team, but I wouldn't blame you if you did. And in the FPO field, really the only player I would probably think about avoiding is Stacey Ronsley. She took 27th here last year, even though she is coming off of a good weekend at DMC. Speaking of DMC, let's look back at some of my picks. My sleeper picks for MPO were Robert Burridge and Emerson Keith and Ulibarri. Emerson took 18th, Burridge took 26th, and Yuli took 12th. I would say I nailed those picks. And I told you to avoid Aaron Gossage, and he finished in 26th. Not a great showing for him, but a good pick for me. And over on the FPO, my sleepers were Macy Veladiaz and Jessica Weiss. Macy honestly got onto the podium. She took third. Great week for her. Glad she was able to come back from some poor performances in the past. And Jessica Weiss. But Jessica Weiss actually withdrew from the event during the week, so who knows how she would have finished. I did recommend staying away from Lisa Fakis and Maria Oliva last week, and I said be very, very wary of Haley King. She could be due for a letdown week, and Haley did let down because she actually pulled out of the event due to an injury. Fakis finished in 24th, but as I said, Oliva surprised and jumped up to 6th place, so good for her. And for all you draft players out there, if you listened to me 2 weeks ago and picked up Ezra Robinson, you're probably ecstatic right now. He podiumed again at DMC. We might have some sort of superstar brothers on the horizon. And now he's up to about 59% owned. And I'm guessing that will jump again by the time waivers run on Tuesday with his performance. This week, I'm going to recommend picking up Paul Oman off of waivers. Paul is really good friends with Kale and has played this course a few times. He's shown in the last couple years that he has his ups and downs. If you're looking for someone and you're desperate, Paul Oman's the guy to go with. Over on FPO, it would probably be Corver. I know I've probably picked her before, but her average out here is really good, and she's only owned in 45% of leagues. This is a hard week for waivers, I feel, because this is a course where the top pros tend to do well. So finding a sleeper on a draft league is going to be tough. Now, if you want to see all of my data that I've gathered over the last few years, there's a link in the show notes, or just go to skipace.com/preserve past. Exclusive place where I share this information. And this week's sponsor for our Preserve Skip Ace Pro Only event matchup is, honestly, I don't know. We had a last minute sponsor withdraw, so I don't honestly have a sponsor. So it might just be me this week. I might throw some really fun things in from my personal collection into a box and just ship them to you. So go sign up for skipace.com/pro. It's $10 for the full year. You can get in anytime. We're a little more than halfway through the season, but you could still win something cool. Thanks for listening, and I hope this really does help you out with your league. Maybe get a couple extra wins. Our next event is the Sula Challenge in 2 weeks. I will see you all then.